Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Popcorn Square Podcast. I am your host, Neff, joined with
Kage.
And today we have a couple things that we wanted to speak on. We want to talk about some films that are going to be releasing in May. I do know we're about mid-May right now, or you could say the first third of May. So we're going to be talking about some films that are going to be coming up for this month. We're going to be talking about some of those box office results that we expect for that as well. Then we're going to move over to The Last of Us. I know Kage has been watching The Last of Us. He's a big fan of the game and the series, but it looks like Max is in some trouble with this second season, so he's going to speak on that a little bit and give his thoughts on the future of the show and maybe even possibly The Last of Us video game if they decide to do that over at Naughty Dog. Then we're going to talk about some streaming shows for the summer. I know Netflix has Squid Game 3 coming up. We also have Hulu releasing Alien Earth, but we have not gotten a release date for that. The promo has been awesome, though. And then we're going to talk about the Conjuring Last Rites. That trailer just released. Kind of funny. Might be a comical horror film, right? Kage's a big fan of The Conjuring, so he'll be talking about his thoughts on that. And we'll both kind of discuss what we think is going to be happening with this film and if it's going to be the last Conjuring film. And then we're going to focus a little bit on Final Destination, just our expectations for the 6th iteration of Final Destination. This is a franchise that's been around for about 25 to 30 years. And then we're going to tap into Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto 6. A lot of news for this game. Highly anticipated game that's been coming out within the last 2 weeks, so we're going to speak on that to round out the episode. But first, let's talk about May. So, Kage, we have Final Destination Bloodlines. Like I said, this is the 6th Final Destination film. It's been highly successful. We did have a gap in between this film and the 5th film, but I think this is a film that we're both anticipating. What do you expect from this, sir?
Well, I'm expecting, first off, with every iteration of the films, it kind of feels like they're in a way beating a dead horse. It's not quite as bad as let's say the Fast and the Furious, because if they came out with a movie every single year, I think that would hurt the franchise overall. But they're still putting a decent amount of a gap in between films. But this one, I guess what makes it interesting is they're trying to go back to their roots. Mm-hmm. In a sense, the deaths that you see in the films, it started off in the first 2 films as being serious. Like, that was scary. It was shocking. You're like, that's a little far-fetched, but I guess that could kill somebody, whatever you see. But then as the films went on, it just got stupid. It got stupid. You watch them, it's stupid. It's kind of a B-rated horror film at best, the later movies. But seeing the one trailer for this one, 6, it got my attention. Yep. It looks a little bit more serious because they had some bad CG in the other ones. Like, they're just not even trying anymore. It looked more realistic in the earlier films as opposed to later. Would you say the bad
CG started with 4 and 5?
Accurate. Mm-hmm. That's pretty accurate. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This, but I mean, like, just seeing the opening, the trailer that we saw, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. They're not trying to dredge up the entire old cast, the ones that live, that is. They're not trying to do that. We're with a brand new, fresh cast of characters.
Yeah, this is a reboot.
It's a reboot. And it kind of looked dark and gritty. I didn't see any bad CG in the trailer nor any indication that we would get that. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I'm actually excited for this one.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. Really just curiosity. What are they going to do with this film? As far as the cast goes, it's not too many like super big names out there. Obviously, no. Tony Todd, this is his last film. So that's interesting as well because this kind of happened with what happened with Lance Reddick in John Wick Chapter 4, where they had the film shot and then he died before the release of the film. So just very eerie, especially because it is a Final Destination film. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was very weird there. But yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines, ladies and gents, going to be releasing on May 16th. That's going to be this upcoming weekend. So we want to know what you think about this. Are you into these films? I know these films, based off the content, it's not for everybody, but It might be something that, it might be something like a wild card for you where you just go and watch and have a good time. You're open-minded about it. It's definitely going to be rated R, so not for the kids, but just want to know what everybody thinks about this. My favorite Final Destination is Final Destination 3. Kage, what's yours?
3?
Yeah.
I think now hold on, don't quote me on this, but was it 3 with the pile up? Because 1 was the plane,
Yes.
and then 2, right? Or maybe 2.
If you this is how morbid it gets.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
have to literally specify specific deaths, and then I can tell you which one it is.
Well,
Because
like,
there was a pileup with the bridge, and I believe that's either some of these start to blend together. I want to say that's Final Destination 5, but that might be 4 because they're on like
you
Golden
know
Gate
what?
Bridge.
You know what? Okay,
right?
I did look it up. So my favorite was 2. Okay. Maybe
This
one,
is the log.
Maybe 1 and 2. Well, obviously, you said the log.
The log.
Okay.
LOG.
If you were a millennial, you know exactly what we're talking about. One scene from a film, Final Destination 2, that came out in 2003, traumatized an entire generation, and now none of us, myself included, and I speak for Neff as well,
Yeah.
will not drive behind a log truck. We won't do it because we saw a movie. Now, the mathematical probability of being taken out by a logging truck is I don't hear about it happening too often, but it's always in the back of your mind.
It's in your subconscious
It's
to
in
get
your,
from
it's
behind
in
that
your
vehicle.
subconscious, exactly.
Final Destination, you did that. Thank you.
Yeah, really.
So wow. So Final Destination 2 is Kage's favorite. The third is Neff's.
But I gotta say this though too. So the first one was really good because at the time there was nothing like it.
Right.
You didn't know what to expect. You're watching the film and you're like, okay, I get what's going on here, but you're still shocked when the deaths happen. And it's like people can slip and a knife fall in there and then the fire. So like that was a little weird. Watching Stifler get his head chopped off. I'm sorry, Sean Williams. Billy, his character was Billy. Seeing his head get cut off, by the metal and all that stuff. That's a little far-fetched, but it was more believable than the later films. It just got stupider and stupider. But what I liked about part 2 was, aside from it having a new cast of characters, they tied it back to the first one. We are so far in the franchise that we are not attached at all to the first film, the first people at all. But the second film, they what was it? One guy, he said, I was a substitute teacher because the other teacher, Miss Lawson,
Correct.
Died in a fire.
Right.
And then one guy was like, oh, that was Miss So-and-so, the teacher from the beginning of the first movie.
Right.
So everybody was somehow connected to the characters in the first film.
story, yeah.
So that's continuity is what I like. When you have a sequel, make sure you have good continuity. Make sure you have environments, places, names, people from the first film that you can reference. But when you're on the 4th and 5th movie, you're so separated from the first film. You know what I mean? Because now you're just calling it a movie, and it's in the franchise, but it has
Right.
absolutely nothing to do with Flight 180,
Right.
Alex or his friends. It has nothing to do with that.
And that's why they wrapped it around. Like, so in the 5th one, I believe, they don't really reference them. There are Easter eggs.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we were talking about this off mic about some stuff that I was seeing about Final Destination, but there are Easter eggs that kind of tie back to the original. And what happened was that the 5th is actually the prequel to the events of the original Final Destination from it was 2000, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that ties in with the end there. And on top of that, for anybody that doesn't know, so regarding the Flight 180 comment that Kage made, and that was good there, a little tidbit, Final Destination originally was supposed to be an episode kind of like a spec script for an X-Files show, right?
That's right.
Right. It was going to be an
that.
episode on X-Files titled Flight 180, and the events that you see in the first Final Destination were from that episode that the writer actually wrote for X-Files, so tidbit there. But yes, Final Destination 5 is technically chronologically the prequel to the events of Final Destination 1, and so with Final Destination 6, which is Bloodlines here, you have some elements of the prequel and sequel because you have an older lady lady who survived death for all these years, but now it's kind of doubled back to come back and get her family because they weren't basically supposed to even exist. So you're going to have that prequel and sequel element there. So very interesting how they're going to try to blend this. And so, yeah, Final Destination Bloodlines, ladies and gents, comes up this upcoming weekend. I think there's going to be probably an actual release on Friday. Like, that's the premiere. But obviously they do showings on Thursday as well. So that's going to be an interesting film. Me and Kage are definitely going to have a review for that.
Yes.
And then after that, ones that we're focused on, there's another film called Hurry Up Tomorrow that stars Jenna Ortega and The Weeknd. That's going to be a Lionsgate film. We're not going to be watching that one, but we'll keep our eyes on that when we do kind of review what's going on with these box office results for May. But we're going to jump over into probably one of the bigger films that's going to come out this month. And it's not even a probably. It's Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. That's going to be releasing on the 23rd, Paramount Pictures. Tom Cruise, definitely a film I'm going to be watching on opening weekend. Why wouldn't I? I'm doing a whole docuseries on Mission Impossible. So that's a film that I'm most excited for this month, and that's going to be Memorial Day weekend. And then Lilo and Stitch from the Disney company. And you know that we've already talked about this on the weekly. That film's going to make $1 billion. Now, how much time is it going to take for them to make $1 billion? Who knows? But we know they are going to cross that $1 billion mark. So I wanted to try to hit those two big ones right there for the weekend. That is going to be a 3-day weekend haul for both those films. It's going to be big for cinema and theaters. You know, we have the popcorn buckets now. That helps out with concessions. And you know the studio's getting a cut of that. So, Kage, what do you think about Mission Impossible? Don't know if you're a big fan of the series or if you're going to watch this one, but just want to hear some thoughts on that, and then I'll give some thoughts on it as well, and then we'll go into Lilo and Stitch.
So I won't lie to you. I have enjoyed Mission Impossible movies when I see them, but I don't go out of my way to see them. That being said, I feel like it would be a disservice for me to go see it and report on it. I think I need to educate myself and go rewatch the films and
Smart move.
and smart move. It probably wouldn't even kill me to start over. You know what I mean? Because it has been a minute since I've seen the films. I know certain characters, I know certain things here and there, but I'm not that sharp on the timeline of
What's actually going on.
What's going on? Yeah, I did enjoy them when I did see them.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, you know, the curiosity aspect says, oh, is this going to be Ethan Hunt, a.k.a. Tom Cruise's last Mission Impossible film? What are they going to do? What direction is it going in, right? This is technically the second part of the Dead Reckoning film that came out. I want to say it was like about 2022. Don't quote me on that. I think it's 2022 or 2023. I want to say 2023 for Dead Reckoning. So this is the Final Reckoning. So it's going to be the second part of that. I'm sure there's going to be some crossover, and I'm glad Kage brought that up because he'd be doing himself a disservice to go watch a movie he didn't see part one of. So if he goes and at least, I'd say, I guess from Fallout to this point would make a lot of sense for him to watch, right? Then I think he'll be in tune with what's really going on. But you got to watch that part one, and then you'll really know what's going on in this film. So, like I said, this is a film that I'm very excited for. You know, when you talk about action stars, Tom Cruise is at the top of that list. The guy is still doing his own stunts at 60-plus years old.
Respect.
So, yeah, kudos to him for just having that tenacity. Talked about this on the weekly multiple times. Going to be a big film, but the competition is very stiff when you have a film that's set up for the family coming out on the same day. The last time we had a Mission Impossible film, there was like a week gap in between, and then you had Oppenheimer and you had Barbie, but that stifled the performance of Dead Reckoning. And now, instead of it being a week out, you have Lilo and Stitch releasing on the same day. Now, there's one thing that is going for Mission Impossible, and you could say Lilo and Stitch as well, is that 3-day weekend. So they're both going to make money. When it comes to who's going to make the most money on the weekend, it's going to be Lilo and Stitch. If this was Mission Impossible versus another film that was for adults, then it'd probably be a little even, a little closer. I'd probably give the edge to Mission Impossible just because of brand recognition and obviously awareness of Tom Cruise and this possibly being his last Mission Impossible film. Do I think this is going to be his last Mission Impossible film? I'm going to lean no. But it's a marketing tool, right? So Paramount is going to utilize that. But like I said, it's definitely going to be a film that I'm going to be watching, excited for it. I'm going to have my review for it. I think it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for this film to do about 90 to 100 million domestically first weekend. I think Lilo and Stitch can do something like that as well, probably about 150. I think the global haul is going to be the really the most important stat that I'm looking at. I like to look at it from a whole total aspect rather than just domestic. Domestic is cool, but that can kind of sway perception when someone tells you the domestic haul and not the global haul, because the global haul is what matters. You want to know the numbers in totality. So that's what we got for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, Lilo and Stitch from Disney. We have a live action adaptation of Lilo and Stitch, and I think this film is going to make a ton of money. I'm already looking at seating charts, and they're already starting to pack out. So I do think, when you're looking at your big theaters, the biggest screens possible, I think the tickets are going to start flying off the shelf in the next week or two. I've noticed patterns with people when it comes to big films. Usually about 2 to 3 weeks out, you have advanced tickets, right? And so it's kind of sparse. You might get some tickets here, some tickets there. But I have noticed about 72 hours in before a film releases, that's when you really start to see those tickets fly, and you get to see the theater just pack out. So I think that's what we're going to be seeing. I'm going to be looking at that information for the weekly as well, because that gives you a good indication on how many people are going to watch the movie in your area. And then you can kind of take that and just move it to different geographical areas, and you can figure out what the film is going to do just based off how many people are going to see it and the seating chart itself. But yes, that's what we have for the end of May there on the 23rd, all the way through that Memorial Day weekend. Kage, what do you think about Lilo and Stitch, and what do you think about performance of the film?
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly that it's gonna make $1 billion, maybe more. I mean, one, kids' movies tend to do well. Two, it's coming out at a great time. Three, it actually looks good. It actually looks good. The live action Disney films tend to be kind of hit or miss. Some of them will look a little hokey. This one actually looks good. And also too, I just really like Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, man.
I think it's going to be
a feel-good movie,
It's a
man.
feel-good movie. And I was worried when they said they were going to do it, because the first thing that popped in my head was, oh boy, here we go, Sonic again. But Stitch did not look bad. They don't have to go back to the drawing board and try to redo it. I'm satisfied.
Good work, good work. What do you think that movie makes first weekend, man?
I don't think it'll make $1 billion.
No, that's impossible.
That would be very impressive. Yeah, I would say maybe in the 600 to 700 mil.
Oh, first weekend?
A Memorial Day weekend.
Bro, 700 million first weekend. No,
Hey.
it ain't gonna make that much.
I don't know, man.
We're gonna keep that, ladies and gents. Kage says Lilo and Stitch is gonna make 700 million first weekend.
Listen. Worldwide, coming in on a Memorial Day weekend. Come on. If this
I'm
movie,
gonna say global. I'm gonna say 300 million. Global. Yeah, 300 million global. First weekend. And then I think there's going to be a lot of repeat watching. I think there's going to be good word of mouth. There's really no reason to insert anything that's, I guess, set in the reality of realism into this. It's a kid's movie.
It's an
a family movie. It's a blue alien. Let's keep it simple. If Disney keeps it simple, it's like what they say about How to Train a Dragon. They're saying that this live adaptation of How to Train a Dragon is basically the animated version with humans in it. So if they just follow what they did from the show that we had.
Don't complicate it.
Exactly. Keep it extremely simple. This film's going to make $1 billion. It's just going to be a matter of time. And so, ladies and gents, those are the two big ones for Memorial Day weekend. Those are going to be the biggest films coming out for the month. And it's going to be an exciting weekend. Cannot wait to talk about my experience in the theater on that weekend. I know it is going to be busy. So we have Fountain of Youth up next. This is Apple TV, Guy Ritchie film. We heard about him before, right? Mm-hmm. The Warfare, right?
Yeah,
the longest title of all time, right? So he did The Ministry, ladies and gents. We're not going to go through that whole name. You got to break it down in like pieces, right?
Yeah.
So John Krasinski is in that. If you don't know who that is the fellow from A Quiet Place, right?
Yep.
And The Office, more notably, you could say. Then you have Natalie Portman and Isa Gonzalez. So that's going to be a streamer on Apple TV. I saw the trailer for it. Looks like a fun film. Looks like a Indiana Jones film, just for modern time. Kind of like Indiana Jones and National Treasure, right? with Guy Ritchie's eye behind that. So that's going to be interesting as well. Then we have Fear Street, Prom Queen. That's going to be on Netflix. I've talked about that. That's an R.L. Stine project there. I think that's going to be cool. We talked about how it's set in the 80s. So that's going to be very interesting. There are 3 different Fear Street iterations, right? You have, I want to say it was like the 70s, the 90s, and then they go all the way back to like the 1700s. But now we have the 80s, so definitely going to be a lot of nostalgia there. I'll be talking about Fear Street, Prom Queen. I think it's going to be a cool streamer. You know, it's something that's, you could say it's targeted towards younger adults, maybe the teens as well, because it is set in a high school. So I think that's a film that will do good on Netflix there. Then this one is actually kind of flying under the radar. I'm going to say this and see Kage's reaction. This is one that, you know, it's coming out. I think it's actually going to do extremely well, but I'm not hearing too much about it. I think the other films are kind of, you know, hovering over
Overshadowing.
it. Right, you know what I mean? And so that's Karate Kid Legends. I think that could do very good. And Jackie Chan's going to be in this as well. So I think that's going to be exciting for the American audience because Jackie Chan really focused on his films over in China, but now he's coming back over here. So I know Cobra Kai is huge on Netflix, right? So, yeah, I think Karate Kid's going to do pretty good.
Well, yeah, already you got 2 great things going for it. You got the return of Jackie Chan, which was, you know, was a fan favorite. You know, if you're in the 90s, early 2000s, we all love Jackie Chan. But then, too, you know, depending on how old you are, Karate Kid holds a special place in all of our hearts. So you got Karate Kid coming back, but you're also bringing in Jackie Chan. You know what I mean? So that's a win-win. I think that's going to be a good show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be...
Cobra Kai, why did that do good? Because you got Karate Kid coming back in general, but then you actually got the original people to come back, even though they were older. Just the fact that you were able to tap into that nostalgia vein, so to speak,
You get the
and
old
that's
crowd
why
right
that
back
was
into
that's
it
why
and
that was
new.
good. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be good.
And so that is going to be in theaters, Kage. So that's why I think that's going to be... I think that might be the wild card as far as box office performance. So that Cobra Kai, that's like Netflix.
Right.
But now they're going to bleed it over. So this is going to be a full-on movie. Now, I wonder if it's going to be the sequel to that Karate Kid we got, like, how many years ago was that? With Will Smith's son.
Yeah.
Jaden was in that one.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a sequel to that.
I didn't think about that.
We got to do more research on that one, ladies and gents. But I think if they have that connection as well, this could help the film. So
Absolutely.
Something to keep our eye on. But yeah, we pretty much covered the May films that we're excited for. We talked about films that are going to be in theater and things that are going to be streaming as well. So please chime in down below what you think about this and what movies you're going to be watching this May. What do you got?
And I was just going to say real quick, I'm going to throw a wild card out for me personally.
Yeah, what do we
I'm
got?
kind of curious about the Bring Her Back.
Okay.
A24 film. I said I'm curious, okay? I looked at it. I'm kind of neutral a little bit, but I do want to know more. We're always saying that less is more with trailers, but I feel like the trailer told me so little.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't really say yes or no. Like,
is that in theater now?
That is not in theater now.
When is that releasing?
May 30th.
Wow.
So that's coming up. The cast is a bunch of people that I don't know who they are, but that could be a good thing. But again, this is A24. That's kind of their MO, right?
Right.
They got people you never heard of.
Our tour style.
Right. And I'm hoping that this is going to be another wild card, just like Talk to Me. Talk to Me, I was curious. I didn't know what it was. What's this white hand thing? Everybody talks to it. I'm like, okay. I ended up really enjoying that film.
Right,
I've watched it in theaters, and I've watched it twice so far on stream.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoy it. So I'm hoping this is one of those things where it just surprises me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You said that's the 30th?
That's the 30th.
So, ladies and gents, Kage, Bring Her Back, A24 horror film, the end of May. Put that on your calendar. Also, let us know if you've heard about this film. I have heard about it. I didn't know the release date of the film, but it is coming up. So, something to look out for if you want to look at something else that's horror. Last of Us. Kage, I'm going to let you take this one on. What do you think about the show as of right now? Obviously, I mean, the first season's pretty undeniable. Big fan base. The game was great. Second game, little different. And now season 2, a little different. What do you think about this? Have the stage for this one, sir.
All right. Well, I will say this first and foremost. It's really difficult to talk about the story of The Last of Us show or the game without spoilers. So if you are worried about that, please come back, listen to this later. But I'm going to be talking about that. Now that I got that out of the way, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, if you are off and you're coming back, welcome back. Yeah, so Last of Us Part 1 was so great that I feel like it, in a way, suffers from the weight of its own success. It was so good that you could honestly ended it right there, that one game, that one story, and it would have been great and it would go down in history as just really great entertainment, be it in a game or show format. They completely knocked it out of the park in both ways. But then you get to part two, and part two, a lot of gamers are kind of going, yeah, now you know how, now non-gamers know how we felt years ago when the game came out. Everybody was pissed off that they killed off a beloved main character early in the game after you spent the entire first game getting to know the character Joel, watching him develop his relationship with Ellie, and seeing their dynamic grow and change and whatnot. And to see, now I will say this much, I got to give them props for sticking to their guns and not changing, because they could have easily said, because there was a serious backlash when part two, the game, came out. There was backlash. It got good reviews. It did get good reviews, and it's a very fun game. All right, I stand by that. It's a fun game. The story, though, it definitely, there's a lot of things I wish they didn't do, but it is what it is, and it's out there. So at least they're sticking to their guns on the show. They're not they are changing some things. I would say in season 2, one thing that I really don't like is the fact that they gave the big reveal in the first episode of season 2. You don't know who Abby is and what her vendetta is until halfway through the game. And it kind of ruins it, in my opinion, when you put that out there first episode. Oh, by the way, and it's like, you ruin that moment, that epiphany, like this entire time. That's why you understand this character's motivations, why she's so hell-bent on getting to Joel. Yeah, I'd be pissed off too if somebody killed my last remaining family member in the apocalypse. You know what I mean? I remember the backlash during Walking Dead when they killed Glenn. A lot of people dropped off the show because they killed him, and they didn't care that it was being true to the comic. The comic, he absolutely got his head bashed in by Negan. It sucks, but that's what happened. So that's what they did. But this is one of those situations where it happened in the game. They did it in the show. People are pissed off, and you're like, and us gamers are like, yeah, we know how you feel. We were there. You're just catching up to where we were 4 years ago, when the part 2 came out. But the scenes that they're doing, the show, I'm still enjoying it. I do admit I do need to replay the second game. I've replayed the first game probably once or twice, but it's enough for me to remember it all. But I've only played through the second one time. And it's definitely been a while. So there's some stuff I'm having to go back and Google, But I do know for a fact that they didn't reveal who Abby was and her motivations were until way, way, way later. I'm going to watch it to the very end, and I hope everyone else does too. I'm still enjoying the scenes that they're doing. I'm enjoying some of the new stuff that they added, like the whole, the infected dropping in, or I shouldn't say dropping in, maybe sprouting like daisies out of the snow and attacking the town. That is not in the game. They do pop out of the snow, and there's a little frantic scene like that, but that whole staging one last stand at the town and thousands of them. That didn't happen. That was just something for the show. Still entertaining, still well done. They also changed the fact that Tommy, Joel's brother, he gets to see Joel after he passed, right? He sees his body. Whereas in the game, he was right there in the same room when he got killed. So it would have been a lot more tragic to see that unfold, versus, hey, by the way, your brother died. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's some questionable decisions. As far as the game is concerned, it is what it is. The game's been out for a while. It did get good reviews, and it's still fun. I still enjoyed it. I stand by that. But you can't change it. You know what I mean? And I don't expect them to change the show because of the backlash they got years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you got to just stick with the game.
You got to stick. You got to stick.
Because you could be mad about it, but it is accurate.
It is accurate, exactly. And I do know some stuff that is going to come up, but I won't spoil that. There's definitely some more big moments to be had.
What do you rate this show out of 10?
Well, season 1 was a 10 out of 10. Season 2, I'm going to probably say a 7.
Okay. That's still favorable.
Yeah, like I still enjoy watching it, but it doesn't have me at the edge of my seat like the first one did. The first one, I was like clearing my schedule. I got to make sure I'm at the TV by 8 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever.
Click.
Yeah, when trying to get it. Because I know tomorrow when I go to work, everyone's going to be talking about it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be left behind or have
so it felt
stuff
like
spoiled.
something you needed to be a part of.
You
and
had
this
to
is
be a
kinda
part
like,
of. Yeah, and
maybe I'll get to it on Tuesday.
right. But I have been watching every single one for the most part. I think
You think the quality is still there?
I think the quality is still there. They haven't laxed in anything. I don't have any problem with the casting. I don't have any problem with the environments, the effects. It still has those shocking moments, and it's funny because again, I haven't played the second game in a while, but this show is making me remember those scenes, and that says something, right? Because I just said the second game wasn't as loved and revered as much as the first one was. But still, after all these years, when I see a scene from the show, it brings that back in the forefront of my mind. So it must not have been as crap as I thought,
Right. That's fair.
It's like
That's
a subconscious thing, you know what I mean? Like if it
Mhm.
was actually bad, like there is no show, no game, nothing you can say to make me suddenly love Beetlejuice 2. Right?
Yeah.
I watch that because of the nostalgia, and it has not changed my look on the first film. And when it comes to The Last of Us, it doesn't change anything about how I feel about the first season. I still stand by that. If they never made a Last of Us 2 game or show, I would have been fine.
Wow, interesting take there. So yeah, you kind of got the lowdown on what's going on with The Last of Us. That is on Max right now. How many episodes are we in, Kage?
4, I want to say.
Okay, so we're gonna have 6 to 8 episodes for this series.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I think it is supposed to be a little bit more than what last season
Are they
was.
still doing the split season thing?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But
We'll do
I
some
do
more
know
research on
the
that.
season. Yeah, for real. I will. The season is going to be. I know it's supposed to be longer than season 1.
Yeah.
But I also know, oddly enough, we're going to get a third season. And knowing what I know about the game, I think I know what they're doing.
Interesting.
Because the game splits. The game. I think the second game is longer, and it splits, and you play from the perspective of Abby, and you play from
yeah,
the
I've heard
perspective of Ellie.
Interesting.
So I suspect we are getting the Ellie story right now.
And then it's gonna switch over.
And it's going to switch over. There's going to be a mid-season finale, and then when we come back, it's going to go oh, now we're following Abby, and then the season finale will be the grand fight, if you will.
Wow.
Pay-per-view, folks.
Pay-per-view, Kage says it. Get your tickets
Get your
now.
popcorn. Get your tissue boxes.
So now we're going to move over to some summer streaming shows. And there are some shows here. I thought there'd be a little more, but we have Alien Earth. That's going to be on Hulu. That's going to be interesting as well. Like I said, they have done a bunch of promo for this show, but we don't have a release date yet for it. So I thought that was interesting. Like I said, the promotion around Alien Earth has been amazing. I'll be able to watch it if I get time to watch it. Obviously, it has to release. To me, it looks like a B-tier Alien project. I don't want them to really water down or kind of just microwave Alien right now. So I want them to just build up, have theatrical releases. We also have the Predator anthology. I don't know if that's going to be releasing in the summer, but I do know that it's going to be releasing before Badlands, which comes out in November. So we do have Alien Earth. We also have Squid Game Part 3. You could say Season 3. That's going to be in the summer as well. That's on Netflix. We talked about Prom Queen, but that's not a show. That is a movie, an original for Netflix there. So we have Squid Game. That's definitely going to be big. We have Alien Earth. We have Peacemaker. That's going to be coming out in August on Max. So that's going to be big as well. John Cena is going to be reprising his role there. Have you seen anything else, Kage, as far as summer things that really jump out to you? I'm looking at this Ironheart. That's going to be Marvel. I don't think a lot of people are excited about that. And then we have Eyes of Wakanda. That's going to be animated. I guess it's going to be a prequel to Black Panther. So that's going to be interesting as well. You got anything, Kage? Anything interesting that might have popped up in the summer for you?
Not that I've seen, to be honest. Not to be honest. Because the last show I watched was, I talked about it a while back, Devil May Cry. That anime was good, and I did see that they're working on season 2 already. And then I remember talking about what was that show? Yeah, the anime Solo Leveling. That had season 2. That's done with, but we're not going to get season 3 until 2027, 2028. Because the main animator is working on a different anime, so this is on the back burner. But yeah, that's really all.
What do you think about those shows that I listed there? Is the only one you're really interested in Alien Earth? What do you think about that? Are you into Peacemaker?
I'm not really big into Peacemaker.
Did you watch Suicide Squad?
I did watch Suicide Squad. It was okay.
Okay,
It was okay. I can definitely see the appeal. It was a fun watch, but not something that I'm itching. And I saw it on stream. I saw it on stream, and I was like, all right, this is entertaining, but nothing.
It's something that's there, but
it's
not grabbing
something,
you.
but I wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta know what happens to this character. I need more. I didn't say that.
Interesting. And so a couple other shows that we have running right now, and we're heating up. It's about to be summer very soon. Is you got Andor, which I heard is doing extremely well. I don't know about the viewership so much. Hopefully, it is getting the viewership, but a lot of people are saying Star Wars Andor is the best Star Wars show ever, and probably one of the better Star Wars productions in a while, even including films, to be honest. I think some people would argue that. And then you have Mobland on Paramount. That's going right now. Tom Hardy's in that, Helen Mirren, and Pierce Brosnan. I hear that's an interesting show as well. Set more in a realistic world about the Irish mob, I believe. So I thought that was interesting. And pretty much that's what we've got for summer shows that are going to be coming up and things that are actually streaming right now. If we missed anything that you may be watching out there, let us know in the comments and we can have a cool discussion about that. Also, let us know if there's something in the summer that you might be interested in that we did not pick up on, because, hey, we're open to that as well. And with you spreading that information to us, it might be something we might find interesting as well. Now, let's talk about the Conjuring Last Rites trailer. Kage, what did you think about that trailer?
I'm interested. I'm flat out interested, but I'm interested for 2 reasons. One, same thing as I said for the Saw movies. I've seen all the others, and now I want to see how this one goes. But also I want to see how this one goes because I'm not a huge fan of the side projects. You know what I mean?
I.e. The Nun
The
and
Nun.
Annabelle.
Like, Annabelle, I would say The Nun is at the bottom of the barrel.
I agree.
Because Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, I enjoyed those films, but nothing is as good as Conjuring 1 and 2. Like, those are the core movies, where you have the two actors playing Ed and Lorraine Warren, like those movies, I'm on board with. The Nun telling a completely different story, I was like, this is stupid. This is stupid. I didn't even care what was going on in the film, and why they made a second one is beyond me.
Yeah.
But like this one, they're saying this is supposed to be the last film. There was the movie, I think The Devil Made Me Do It.
Yep, the third one,
that
yeah.
they did. Even that was better than The Nun. One or two, take your pick, because they're both dumpster fires in my opinion. But Conjuring 1 and 2 are the best. Annabelle, all the Annabelle movies, I like those. The Nun is the bottom. But the fact that we're getting the original two people to come back for this last hurrah, that makes me excited.
And it helps with the continuity as well.
It helps with the continuity because these are all based. They're supposedly, depending on what you believe, they're based on true stories. And you can Google any of these stories. You can Google Annabelle. You can Google the Enfield. I don't know how to pronounce it. Enfield hauntings in the UK. That Conjuring 2 was based off of, or Bathsheba in the first movie, that the Perrin family, that you can Google all that. There's books, there's stories, interviews with the real people that were involved, and recordings and stuff. So if you're into that, that's there. But then I feel like The Nun was just fabricated.
Right.
And I think that's
Just something to add on.
Yeah, like what gets me into paranormal horror is when you say based on a true story. Like as soon as you say that, that gets my attention. Next thing you know, that movie's long gone and done, and you got me on Google like looking stuff up. Like that's
doing the research.
It's interesting. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I couldn't do that with The Nun. So with this movie, I don't know anything about the backstory, the real story about it, but I'm just excited to see these two actors coming in for one last hurrah. I'm hoping that this is the last movie because I don't want them to ruin a good thing. I don't want them to surprise us, to go, oh, we got another movie, in, 2 years from now. No,
What they've been able to do is pretty awesome, to be quite honest. You have your core films, right? The Conjuring films. Now we have 4, correct? Mm-hmm. With the last rites. And then you've been able to have your spin-offs that are successful as well. Despite how, we may think about them, because I don't like The Nun either, but I do like the Annabelle films, especially Annabelle Creation. Very good film.
Yeah.
Despite that, they do have a base. And so the fact that they could spin those off the core is actually pretty interesting. So now you have about, 8 films just based off this universe, right? And honestly, could probably keep going because we've talked about the ROI on these horror films. They're not that expensive to make. And, if you can put out a good story on top of having the hype for it, the fact that it is horror and it's not as expensive to make, and you can make 5 to 10x off that, the studio is going to keep running with that. So Warner Brothers, they got something good with The Conjuring there, and that whole universe, that IP that they've built up over, how long has The Conjuring been going? 10, 12 years?
So, no. Well, like
Not quite.
So, The Conjuring, let's see. Part 2 came out in 2013. Or no. Wait, what is this? Hold on, I'm getting conflicting information. Oh, the first movie came out in 2013. The second movie came out in 2016. Then you got The Devil Made Me Do It. Right. That came out in 2021. And then finally we have the 2025 movie.
Last Rites.
The Last Rites.
And that's coming out in September, I believe. Yeah, the trailer was interesting. Like I said, I mean, the quality of the trailer, it's not terrible. We talked about the little ghoul demon, right? The VFX on that. That was, extremely funny. And the levitating baby doll. That was cool stuff, right? I'm sure they're going to hammer out some things.
But, Jay, but you know what, though? I got to say this, too, is that you got the two main cast coming back. Yeah. You got James Wan, who started this whole thing.
Correct.
He's going to be producing this as well. So I'm hoping
got all the role players back.
I'm hoping the key players, exactly. I'm hoping it is kind of a return to form. I hope that they end on a high note.
Is this going to be an opening weekend show for you?
Opening weekend, I'm gonna try. Like out of Ooh, you know what? I almost said that it might be the film that I go see on opening weekend this year.
What film would that be? This one or something else?
We keep forgetting. We're going to be having the 28 years later.
Oh,
That's
that's
a-
June.
that's-
That's next month.
That's a big one for me.
Oh, we're gonna have a whole
That's a
episode
really
on
big
that.
one for me.
So that is a definitive opening weekend for you.
I'm thinking.
Definitive.
Yeah.
I'm thinking so too.
I'm a huge.
I don't think you're gonna have much of a choice.
I got
I'm in the truck.
I'm invested, man. I'm invested. I need to know.
Yeah, we're gonna get there to that one. That's for a later episode. But yeah, 28 years later, that's gonna be towards the end of June, ladies and gents. Definitely gonna be one of those big films, horror film in the summer. So that's gonna be interesting. But yeah, The Conjuring Last Rites. Let us know what you think about that. And did you see the trailer? I was talking about this on the weekly yesterday. Like I said, I think the film's gonna make money, but there's probably gonna be some funny elements in this film just because. Why not?
But all right, we're going there.
Yeah, what's
Like you want?
Oh, Thanksgiving.
Look.
Is that where you're going?
No, we're not going back there again. No.
I'm gonna watch that second one in theater. They sold me on that first. I was like, man, I missed out on this. What was I doing? This movie's awesome. What you got?
Look. When it comes to the, well, I should say scary movies in general.
Yeah.
Movies like to depend on jump scares.
Right.
You're not really invested in the graphics because they just flash the thing.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they'll flash it real quick and you'll be startled. Maybe they'll add a noise to it too to really get you. You know what I mean? But it becomes less scary if you slowly bring it out and then you just sit there and they let you ruminate on the image. Then you're going to be like, man, this is stupid. Y'all can't see it, but Neff is showing me the bad CG. And it looks absolutely terrible. But again,
I think they'll clean it up, dude.
I hope they clean it up. I mean, if Sonic can get a remake, why can't that lady's face?
I also too, like, not to stay on this topic for too long, but why didn't they just get like a real woman? Like, they're cleaned up. You know what I mean? You could do some VFX over her. That looks all VFX. It doesn't even look like a person. So it's kind of like weird. It's like that probably costs more than just getting a person.
I can see that.
You see what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like I said, I think they'll clean it up.
Well, like
but
you have, well, I guess no, I can't say that either because I'm thinking of what's the movie? What's the franchise that we like? Insidious.
Yeah.
They call it the lipstick demon. That's kind of like a poster child
Correct.
of that franchise. And you don't see the full thing that often, but they always show it real quick in a scene, followed up with a really loud, a really loud noise,
Something to throw you
and
off.
it scares the crap out of you, and then the moment's gone.
yeah, like you said, it's that tactic
It-
where it's just like boom, image, sound, bang, next.
Right. And then throughout the film, when you're looking at the background, if you pay attention, you can see things.
Correct.
Like that, I think that's an effective way to show.
They've done a good job with
horror.
Darth Maul as well,
Yes, they did.
especially in that last one. People can say whatever they want about that last Insidious. The movie was all right. People are weird. That movie was good.
I liked it.
Yeah, that movie was entertaining. Anyway, and I think there's going to be an Insidious 6, which I don't know if I'm on board for because I feel like the fifth one kind of ended it where it needed to end.
We don't need another story. I think
That's what I'm
I think they're just milking.
Yeah, let's just run
milking
with
it now.
this. Yeah, let's keep going with this. And interesting, James Wan all over the place with these films, and Patrick Wilson's in Insidious too. But anyway, yes. Did you notice that?
I see.
Right. So yeah, very
Well,
interesting.
they got a pretty good working relationship. I think
It makes sense.
It's kind of like Tim Burton
Yeah,
doing a
and
movie,
Johnny Depp.
and he go, "Hey Johnny, I'm doing a movie," and he's like, "Hey, I'm in.
I'm in.
I didn't even see the script,
or shit,
but
Keaton,
I'm in."
Keaton.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and Beetlejuice 3 is happening, ladies and gents. But next up, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh,
6. Kage, what do you
man.
think about this? We got the pushback news, right?
Yes,
that was
we
about
did.
last week, but now
Yes.
we got the trailer, the second trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6. This is a game that's been in development for well over 10 to 12 years, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely going to be a cultural phenomenon when this film releases in the summer
This
of next
game.
year. Kage, what do you think about this?
Yeah, the game is. I'm excited to see it come back. The trailer looks amazing. The graphics look amazing. In you could freeze frame it at any moment and it feels like you're watching a movie. Like the graphics are just that good. And on a personal note, I would really like to, I'm really curious about this one because I've lived in Miami before. And it's not too often I can say that a game is in a place where I lived, you know, where you can play a game and go, oh, I know what that building is. I know what bridge that is. I know, you know what I mean? Like people play video games to escape, but this might be the first time in my life I can look at a game and go, I was there. I remember that. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for that. My big complaint, as is the complaint of many gamers out there, is it just took too damn long. We are at the end of the life cycle of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. You know, these consoles are still going strong, don't get me wrong. But usually I feel like you're going to have a new GTA with every generation of console, you know? And with how long they took on this, I feel like we should be celebrating getting ready for GTA 7. And this is because they spent, and this is just purely my opinion, fight me on it if you want. It's a hill I'm willing to die on. But I feel like they spent way too much time with GTA Online. You know, I played it. It's not my cup of tea because I'd rather play like a really hilarious, offensive game. Like this is the South Park of video games. It does not care about anything. You know, it doesn't care what offends you, whatever, but that's what makes it funny. It's crazy, you know, anything goes type thing. And we're getting that back. My only complaint is I really wish we would have gotten this so much sooner, you know? And then the question is, they said, I thought they said it was going to come out 2026, you know, 2025. But then they pushed it again, and it's like, are you going to wait until they announce the PlayStation 7 and the next Xbox? Because, selling a brand new sequel with like a bundle, that's common. Okay, I can see you doing that. But putting such a big title at the very end of the console's lifespan, really?
Yeah, I think it's questionable, but they know what they're doing.
But having all that said, when the game comes out, will it sell? Absolutely.
$1 billion in 3 days.
Probably faster. Honestly, people have an eye on this. Every nugget, every crumpet of information out there on Reddit, on YouTube, whatever, the deepest forms of the internet, if you breathe anything about GTA, people want to know.
Yeah.
And they're going to leak and they're going to share that stuff. And GTA is no stranger to leaks, by the way.
And this is going to be the first time, not the multiplayer element, but the first time you get the Bonnie and Clyde element with Jason Duval and Lucia Caminos. And I did a video on the weekly I think it was like a couple days ago, where I was just talking about some of the character screenshots. Didn't talk about so much the landscape. I might be doing a whole nother video on that, because if you go on the Rockstar website, as I was saying on the weekly, there's a whole pretty much like plot synopsis and character breakdown of all the players that you're going to be dealing with in this game. So there's definitely going to be some new implementation of just character development in this game, and I think it's going to be extremely exciting. But the two mains are going to be Jason Duval and Lucia Caminos. Those are the ones you do see in the bulk of the trailer. But yeah, this game is definitely going to be a cultural phenomenon. Like I said, I'm saying $1 billion in 3 days made. Kage thinks maybe, what do you think, 48 hours maybe it'll do $1 billion? That's crazy.
Well, you gotta think about it.
I know it's a lot of pent up demand. Demand.
This is one of those. I don't know if diamond in the rough is the right way to describe it. This is a huge franchise, a highly popular, highly sought after series that has been dead for over literally a decade. Okay, we got a new Mortal Kombat game every 2 to 3, possibly 4 years. We get a new, I'm not going to talk about sports games, but like, you know what I mean? FIFA, like the soccer, they come up with a new game every single year. but we have not had a GTA game on the newer hardware at all. We haven't had a new game, a new story in over 10 years. So this is huge. You got a lot of pent up hype over this, dormant hype, if you will. People that just kind of forgot about the franchise. Maybe you got some stragglers that are still holding strong, playing GTA 5 online. But I guarantee you, the gaming community is going to explode. They're going to lose their minds when this thing comes out. Are you taking a day off for this?
It comes out on a Tuesday.
Ooh. I don't know. I say no right now. I say no, but we will see where my hype takes me as we get closer to the time.
About March, April of next year. Oh yeah, then it's.
Ask me again.
Bro, I think people are literally the people that don't even live stream are going to have like New Year's countdowns. Like it's gonna be like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you got.
I do think I'm telling you right now, man. I know you play games. I don't play games. We've talked about the whole get it from the cloud, servers, da 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 da. I think they need to go back to tangible and actually have it be a hard disk.
Games still come out on discs.
They need to do this on a disc.
Well, I mean,
I think
it's
the
gonna.
tangible element is also gonna. I think that's also gonna be a big effective way to market this as well, because it's just different, man. Like when you can actually look through a booklet, you can actually hold the disc. It just takes you back to the good times.
We're gonna. I mean, you're not wrong, and we will definitely be talking about this more in the future as we get more information. You'll get the information. But you know what, too? When they come up with collector's editions, that's where your physical stuff is going to come into play. That's when I don't think you would have it for this game, but like a lot of games, they have statues, they have pictures, they have booklets, they have like physical things that you can display in your home, like as an art piece. I myself have some as well. I don't think they would do something like that, but I would kind of be surprised if they didn't do some sort of collector's edition. Because with the hype behind this, with the want for this game for literally over a decade, you're not going to have to twist people's arm to pre-order this game. Even if you don't come up with a collector's edition and it's just the game, you're going to make a ton of money worldwide.
Yeah, this game's going to be an amazing game. I think now, obviously, you got to talk about GTA 5's performance, and then you got games like Minecraft, right? So you could say like those are like top 3 most popular ever, right? I do think just based off like initial release that this game will surpass both those. Like it's not even gonna be close.
Oh yeah,
it's just too much pent-up demand.
It predates them. So this is obviously for the older crowd. Okay, this is not for the kids at all. If your kids are playing GTA, that's messed up. And that's me being nice. That's putting it mildly. The game is so ahead of its time in terms of humor. Again, that the term. What did I say in the beginning of this? It is the South Park of the video game industry. It gets away with everything, and it's so offensive. It's so out there. It's very satirical. A commentary on modern society, modern times. You're going to see Easter eggs to other GTA games. You're going to see little references to real life in there. And also, too, what I love about this is that it takes place in Vice City.
Yep.
And I don't know if we had other Grand Theft Auto games that revisit locations in completely different times.
Well, it'd be GTA 5.
GTA 5?
GTA 5 and GTA 4.
Liberty City?
Mm-hmm. GTA 4 is Liberty City.
Well, I'll be damned.
And we had Liberty City, obviously, in GTA 3. And then GTA 5 is San Andreas.
Okay.
So twice.
You're right.
Now it's Vice City's turn. And
but
then next it'll probably be Liberty City.
But what's cool was Vice City, that game was amazing, and that came out in the 80s. So now we're going to see
modern day Florida.
Modern day
Leonida.
With the graphics, with driving down Miami Beach, but again, not called Miami. It just looks great. Graphically, I can't wait to see what crazy things we can do. Are you going to be scuba diving? I remember when they introduced that going in the water used to mean
Did
death.
you visit the website?
I have not yet,
we're
but
gonna
I
we're
will
gonna
now.
look at the website when we get off the mic here. So, ladies and gents, we pretty much covered all the topics that we wanted to discuss on today's episode. Pretty good episode, very informative episode. We want you to
Yes,
chime
sir.
in about what you think on all these topics. We talked about May Films box office expectations for these films. We tapped into Final Destination. And one last question, Kage, what do you expect this Final Destination Bloodlines to do at the box office? They say it's tracking for about 50 million opening weekend. I don't think that's bad because I don't think the budget's that crazy.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's going to do well.
I think that's
the
fair.
critics are saying, the early reviews say this is possibly the best Final Destination film. So we're going to put that to the test, ladies and gents. So we talked about that. We talked about summer shows, right? We talked about The Conjuring, Last Rites. Kage talked about The Last of Us Season 2 and the future of The Last of Us potentially. And then we talked about Grand Theft Auto 6 and just our anticipation for this game. Now, these are all topics, more than likely, that we're going to be touching back upon. One, reviews for May Films, box office results. Then we'll be talking about The Conjuring in September and summer shows. And then, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6 is something we're going to be talking about heavily, especially when we get into next year on the build-up for the release on May 26, 2026. So mark your calendars for that event, ladies and gents. This is Neff signing off with
Kage.
Please subscribe to the channel, share this video with a couple of friends and colleagues, definitely helps us out a lot. Ring the bell for notifications so you can get updated immediately when we drop a new episode of The Popcorn Square. Like this video and be safe. It's Neff and Kage signing off.